year ago today, I jumped from making 4 to 6 figures a month, quite luckily. And you'd expect the rest of my life to be solved, right? Iced out chains, Lambos, and maybe even a couple old money fits. But it was far from it, because I actually fell into a darker place than I'd ever been before. But once I figured out that it was because of these 5 reasons, I was actually able to do something about it. First one being the pressure of not wanting to lose at all. After the first month on Snapchat, we had generated over 600k and profited well over 200, but it came with many downsides. Imagine you're playing a game of Fortnite, you have 15 kills, you're about to win the game, you feel like an absolute G, and then the pressure hits you. You're like, I can't lose all of this, I've worked so hard to get here. And that's exactly what it felt like for me. Mind you, before January, I had never made any serious money before, so this was my first piece of the pie, and I felt like if I were to lose this, I'd go back to nothing. And how could I go back to nothing after making that much money for the first time ever? And that wasn't even all. I was now 15 at the time, making that type of money every single month, and everyone around me was just a normal kid like I had been a month prior. It didn't feel real because at the beginning I didn't tell anybody what I was doing, so I had to hide what I was doing from everyone around me. And whenever we'd go out or have parties or go to my house, I'd just be stressing and thinking about what's going on with work whilst everyone would be having fun. It was insane. I was barely wanting to go out for 2-3 hours a week anymore because all I could think about is what I could possibly miss if I wasn't at home working. And picture yourself spawning in as a teenager in front of all these adults around you who are so much more experienced. I felt like I didn't know nothing, and I was being judged by these people at all times because I was the youngest in the room in every situation. For a while, and even to this day, I'm one of the youngest people in the space, and there's a lot of pressure to try to live up to these people who are 18, 19, even 20 years old. But because I have 3-4 years less experience than them, it's so hard. And imagine you going to school every single day for 6 hours, coming home and having a routine, going to the gym, and then that all gets snapped away from you because you now have to focus for hours a day on the business. There were times where my partner and I would stay up until 6-7 a.m. just to work and finish videos to post the next day, and I would just miss school entirely. Eventually it led to me having to kind of drop out of high school in a sense because I didn't have time for it, and it made more sense to do what I was doing now. And moving on to the second reason, I want you to picture yourself being super successful in business at one point in time. Do you think you'd be hanging out with the same people before as you were after if they didn't mature with you or would want to improve themselves as well? Well, this kind of happened to me with a lot of people. After I hit my big break with business, a lot of the people that I was friends with before didn't really understand it, the amount of hours I was putting in, the fact that I wasn't able to go out as much, and this in turn kind of separated a lot of us. This basically made me only talk to people who were in the business space as we had the same exact beliefs and the same interests as well. Now you think that's fine and all, why would you not want to be friends with people that are super smart? But in reality it gets kind of annoying because you also want to have those fun times, relax, and not think too much about the stresses that come with business. But that after a while was just not possible. So I had to decide, am I going to surround myself with people who can't have good conversations with me, who don't want to do anything with their lives, or do I stick to people who have the same beliefs, interests, and also want to go far? And I guess you could come up with that answer yourself. So after a while of sticking to that and only really talking to people in the business space or people who are generally more close-minded to me, it gets kind of boring, I'm not gonna lie. But I guess that's the price you pay, if you even want to call it that, for being successful in business. A lot of people you were friends with before also just won't want to be friends with you anymore because you don't match their vibe and you don't relate to them. And also due to the fact that I just couldn't go out because I was so stuck on work and getting things done in that aspect, I missed out on so much, which meant that the inside jokes or the things that came up that were new, I had no idea about. I was in my room with the blinds closed, working every day, not having any of these fun experiences for months. But all that doesn't even come close to the third reason, which is being the smallest fish in the biggest pond. Picture a massive lake, and you're a tiny fish swimming in it amongst massive other ones. That's what it feels like to make more and more money, because as you hit those $5, $10, $50, $100,000 milestones, you start to get surrounded by people who are doing 3, 4, even 500k a month. And that sounds outrageous to say, but it's true. So you're always comparing yourself to people above you, and so you never actually appreciate what you have. And I know for myself as well as all of you, you're thinking right now and wishing for when I hit that $10,000 a month milestone, I'm gonna be so happy, no stress, no problems. I promise you, once you hit 10k a month, all you're gonna want to do is hit 20, 30, and then eventually 50. And once you hit that, you're gonna see the guy doing 100, and you're gonna think to yourself, why am I not there yet? What am I doing wrong? It's just a constant cycle of wanting to one-up yourself, which is absolutely amazing for business, but can really mess with your brain. You gotta have the mindset going in that you're just gonna work as hard as you physically can, and that you're gonna hit each milestone as it comes. A big positive, however, to being the smaller one amongst a bigger group of people is that they can give you a lot lot of advice and life experience that you just don't have. And the only way to obtain these things is by hitting those bigger pinnacles in business that they've been through. But at the beginning, looking at them, I thought, yo, these guys are gonna gatekeep everything they have. They're not gonna help me at all. What am I gonna do alone here? But it was actually entirely the opposite. A lot of these people who were making so much more money than me were helping me out incredible amounts in terms of how to optimize my business, how to invest my money, and how to even make more money. And all of you should reach out to someone making a tiny bit more money than you at whatever scale you're on, because I can guarantee you that they will help you and it'll give you an insane amount of value. Even if they're only making 5 to 10k more than you a month, the amount of experience they can give you to get to that level is insane. And you can use that knowledge and experience to get even further than them. It's just a rotating cycle. So after a while of feeling smaller than ever, I kind of got used to it and shifted my mindset from being mad at myself to trying to get better than all the people above me, and that's how you should do it too. And the second to last reason here will hit all of you really deep, because one thing that I can assure you is as you make more and more money, even if it's from $1,000 to $3,000, your maturity level changes a lot. Imagine having more weight on your shoulders every single month, aka making more money. You're inclined to be a lot more mature because you know you have a lot more to lose. And that's what happened after my first month. That leads to you not being able to relate to everyone around you who isn't taking a similar path. And this has nothing to do with ego. It's not like you can't talk to people because you're smarter than them or make more money than them. It's simply that they get interested in completely different things. If someone's talking to you about a girl and you're over here thinking, how am I going to increase my monthly income by $10,000 next month? I'm sure there isn't going to be too much of a connect between you and that person. And that's what tends to happen when you start this business journey. You would have probably thought you'd have more friends and all that good stuff once you make more money, but it actually decreases because you can't trust everyone, so you don't want to keep that many people in your circle. So now you don't have as many people to talk to. And then third, you're scared that people might want to use you for your money, which is a pretty common story I've heard from a lot of the friends I know in the business space. These three things put together kind of make you shield off from everybody else and kind of stay in your own lane alone. And apart from the people you work with on a day-to-day basis, like your business partners, employees, or advisors, there's no point to talk to anyone else unless you've made it. And in my opinion, making it isn't really a number goal. You're not going to hit $1 million and think that you've made it. It compromises of 5 things: doing what you want, when you want, how you want it, wherever you want, with whoever you want. That probably sounded confusing, but if you think about it, that is what true freedom is. So unless you can get to that point, you don't really want any distractions in your way. And the last and biggest reason for all of this was the fact that I now had so much more responsibility. I was now in charge of multiple employees, and some of them were actually living alone, paying rent. So if I, as a 15 to 16-year-old little kid, messed up in some aspect, they were technically out of a job entirely. And that put some insane pressure on myself because I wasn't in a playground anymore having fun. I was now in charge of people's livelihoods, and that made me work with so much more caution and didn't feel like I could take as many risks. Now obviously I didn't close myself off to cool opportunities to expand the business, but at the same time I had to think very deeply about every big important decision that was made because it involved other people, not just myself. And at times that pressure was so much because if revenue was down one month or up another, things became so volatile and you started to have doubts in your mind like, can we keep this up? Are these people still gonna have a job? Are we gonna have to fire a certain amount of people? And sometimes we had to fire some employees for not doing well, but knowing in the back of my head that that ruined their income just sucked. But at the end of the day, all of these 5 things put together have made me mature so much quicker than an average 15 or 16-year-old. And now looking back, I'm super happy to have went through all of those experiences. I know a lot of you watching are teenagers or very, very young adults. And if you want to get more clarity on the business model you should start and the blueprint to start making some money, I made a video going over all of that. So you should watch it right here.